Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
And thanks for joining us for another edition of the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Raddick, and in a moment we'll be joined by Assistant City Manager John Fitzpatrick. As usual, in the first half of today's show, we'll have some municipal news updates, including items from city departments and things happening in Oshkosh. In the second half, we'll highlight items in the upcoming agenda for the Tuesday, July 11th Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. And with that, we bring in our Assistant City Manager, John Fitzpatrick, and we thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
All right, well, we have a lot to talk about. Recently, we had the 4th of July and Independence Day celebrations in Oshkosh. We just wanted to do a little bit of a recap of all the things that went on. And we had a very successful fireworks show sponsored by Festival Foods, along with some Rotary clubs in Oshkosh.
No, it was really a beautiful display, and I know although some people would appreciate a little more rain, we were very fortunate to have such beautiful weather to see the fireworks, and I know a lot of families really enjoyed the display, and we always certainly appreciate our sponsor, Festival Foods. You know, it's just awesome to be able to witness the display and to have that kind of a partnership with somebody like Festival that, you know, understands how important it is to families and to be able to celebrate the 4th.
Right. And the Parks Department arranged for a food truck rally in Menominee Park on the 4th. And I believe they had like 16 food trucks.
Right. I thought 14, but it could have been 16. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. I think people really love that. It gives them a little variety, and they can sample different kinds of foods and also just enjoy their time in Menominee.
Right. And then also, of course, every year we have the wonderful 4th of July parade, and Oshkosh Media was able to cover that event, and that rolled down Main Street and Irving Avenue. Again, a successful event this year.
I know you were down there, Andy, so we had a pretty good turnout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was packed.
Yeah,
a lot of crowd. The weather was fantastic. As you can see, we had some wonderful drone video for a different perspective this year, and that parade coverage will be shown on Oshkosh Media Life TV, and that is also available on the Oshkosh Media YouTube channel, so folks can check it out.
Right. I know a lot of my kids were visiting, my grandkids, and they were down there. They really enjoyed the parade, and I brought some candy home, so they had a good time.
I saw a lot of candy being handed out. So.
Right.
I think the kids were enjoying that.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Well, we also want to take a moment to mention that a lot of new terrace trees are being planted in Oshkosh neighborhoods. And this is all part of the funds have been raised through the Taking Root 2 campaign. And that's a partnership with the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation.
It is. And, you know, we spoke a little bit about the great weather we've been having, the lack of rain. Unfortunately, that's not the best recipe for brand new trees that are planted. And,
right.
You know, just to back up even a little bit more, I know on previous shows, you and City Manager Roloff have talked about the impacts of the emerald ash borer.
Right.
And it was beautiful ash trees, but and they were not that expensive to purchase and plant. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of homeowners opted for those trees. But unfortunately, they were more susceptible to the borer. And so we've had to replace a lot of trees. And when those trees are replaced in the terrace, citizens need to be diligent with their watering, especially with the dry climate we've had lately.
Right. So it is important to allow the soil to not completely dry out, or conversely, not allow it to stay soggy. And otherwise the tree will be stressed. So it's important to keep the soil consistently damp, and that's essential.
I know that our arborists put mulch around the tree that helps keep it damp.
Right.
But it's really important, especially when they're brand new.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little more stressed and they need a little more attention
Right.
than they ordinarily would. I see the video where we just have a hose there and it's soaking.
Mm-hmm.
And also I think what people need to understand too is when these terrace trees are planted, not only trees but also grass. The more water that exists, the deeper the roots penetrate.
Mm-hmm.
And the deeper the roots penetrate, the healthier it is for the tree or grass, and the less infiltration of weeds exists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's important to water these trees on a regular basis.
Right.
And keep them damp, because we want them to get past that stress stage. And also, it looks like we have a graphic here about, the benefits of an urban forest. I know that, you mentioned to me, Andy, that you had some concerns expressed by citizens about, hey, this is going to cost me money to water my tree, but really there are a lot of benefits to having an urban forest, and
Right.
this graphic kind of illustrates some of those. One maybe little known fact that people might not understand is tree shade can extend the useful life of your roads, our roads and our pavement by as much as 10 years, I think the U.S. Department of Agriculture estimates. So it really is good for our community. It's good for our roadways.
And it's great for stormwater relief.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's a lot of benefits to having an urban forest in a community, and it's something we want to promote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it is important to keep those trees watered, and early morning or in the evening is good, and just to keep that tree with a damp soil around it.
Right. Yes, I think a rule of thumb. I think people have said 5 gallons per inch of diameter of the tree. So if you get a 2-inch tree, it's about 10 gallons of water, two
Right.
5-gallon pails. So,
Right. Okay.
but the hose is better if you can let it run.
And actually, there have been about 245 terrace trees that are being planted, and 15 different species.
Right.
So,
I think when people need to get their terrace trees replaced, our forestry division in our parks department has a variety that the citizens can choose from.
right.
So,
Okay. Another exciting thing in the downtown area is that Oshkosh has received a grant to transform one of the downtown alleys, and so this space will be transformed and be very useful.
right. Yeah. I think there's been a lot of different public art initiatives
Right.
over time with Oshkosh, but I think there's been more and more interest in murals, and it looks like we have a shot of that video for that alleyway that you can just see there next to House of Heroes, and it's kind of off the main road. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, take some time to park and walk down there. It's pretty cool, actually. It's pretty extensive.
Yeah.
So
It's very nice.
yeah, this is one of several that are going up in the community, and we've had really a lot of positive comments about some of the public art that's being put in place now. Not only the murals, but also some of the wrapping we've done with some of the electrical boxes
Right.
down in the bid area. I know, Andy, you and I were talking about that the other day. So
Right. Well, Oshkosh is receiving this $30,000 Vibrant Spaces grant from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and that will fund the transformation of this alley that we were just taking a look at, and it'll be a functional public gathering space in downtown Oshkosh. And the Downtown Business Improvement District was able to receive matching funds
Right.
to go toward this project. And so this will, in addition to the public art, this will also become a gathering space and just expand the usefulness of this underutilized space.
absolutely, that little alleyway is near Manila, Ruby Owl, kind of not too far from Kits and File, just as a reference point for people. So
Right.
if they haven't seen it, check it out.
Right, absolutely. Then also recently, TDS Communications had sent out a notice about they are not going to continue their construction with their fiber optic project in Oshkosh. And we just wanted to note that all companies are required to work under the same rules and regulations with the city.
Absolutely, yeah. If citizens have seen a blue and white communication from TDS talking about their decision to leave Oshkosh, it really shouldn't be anything that's any surprise to anyone, because we have guidelines that we put in place to really protect the citizenry in terms of any kind of build-outs that take place. And we were talking about the terrace earlier.
Right.
A lot of the infrastructure is placed in those terraces, and
in the right of way.
In the right of way. And when we do that, we want to make sure that it's safe for our citizenry. So they're required to follow rules and regulations when they're doing it, when they're constructing it, and when it's finished. The landscaping associated with it. So we apply those rules to everyone. It's my understanding that TDS was not happy with the rules that we have, that we apply to everyone, and it wouldn't be fair for us to make an exception for TDS and then hold all the other companies to that standard.
Right.
So it's unfortunate that it was their decision that they decided to pull out, but again, it's something that we need to make sure that we're consistent as a fairness issue to these other companies, but also as a way to make sure that everything is safe for our citizens.
And TDS was provided with those rules in advance of the beginning of their project.
Yes, right, yep.
So, okay. Well, we just wanted to make a note about that, and just the fact that the Oshkosh Public Works Department is working to ensure that all companies are working under the same rules.
Right.
Okay. We wanted to make note also, John, that the National Night Out is coming up on Tuesday, August 1st. And this is an annual community building event. It's really a great opportunity for our public safety agencies to work with the community and to kind of bounce around town in all these different locations.
Right. I know we've discussed it. I know you and City Manager Roloff have discussed National Night Out. I think it's been in place for many years now. It started as an initiative primarily with police, but I think it's really expanded to include fire and all kinds of different interactivity for neighbors. For neighbors to get out, get to know each other, spend some time with each other so they're not strangers.
Right.
So they can support each other. I know we joked one of the last times I was on the show that I was in a dunk tank once upon a time at a National Night Out, so we'll spare the citizens of any video that might still be available in regard to that. But it really is a nice feature of summer, and I hope people can get out and really appreciate the camaraderie that takes place on August 1st.
Yeah, and these are really neighborhood-based events.
Right.
So, block parties, festivals, even parades in certain circumstances, cookouts, just different types of community events with safety demonstrations, seminars, youth events. We're seeing, bouncy houses and cops playing basketball with local kids.
Yeah, I think, it's all about building and maintaining those relationships. Certainly, the citizens have with us, as city employees, but also with each other, as neighbors. And that's, I think, a real foundational component to trust and making sure that they feel comfortable. We're here to serve them and help them in any way we can.
Right.
But they can also establish that trust and awareness in their own neighborhoods too. So,
Well, National Night Out will be held in various neighborhood locations around Oshkosh on the evening of August 1st. So watch the Oshkosh Police Department Facebook page for more details on the specific locations and times. Okay, then also we're in the middle of road construction season in Oshkosh, and we just wanted to highlight a couple of projects that are going on. Wisconsin Street is one of those, kind of a major thoroughfare there. And so there's a lot of work that's happening, and a lot has actually been accomplished there too.
Absolutely. You know, we talked a little bit about the weather, and you know, it's unfortunate for growing grass and maybe terrace trees, but the weather has really been fantastic for road work.
Right.
So I know we're always scrambling to get as much work done as we possibly can during the summer months here in Oshkosh. But I hate to admit it, but I think we're ahead of schedule because of the great weather, because of the lack of rain, and that means that we can get much more accomplished for the community, and that's what we're all about. Like, you could see some of the video there in Wisconsin Street, and it is a main thoroughfare, and the fact that we're as far along as we are at this point in the year is, you know, it's really kind of unheard of.
It's unusual, but we'll take it for sure. So a lot of the sidewalks remain to be done, the driveway aprons remain to be done, and a lot of those cross-street connections there are not complete yet. So it's still underway, but there's been a lot of progress made with Wisconsin Street. The same can be said over on Bowen Street. And I know that there's a lot of work that's been done there. Concrete has been laid on both sides of the road,
right.
But still looking to complete a lot of the work with the driveway aprons and such.
No, I get a chance to drive past that area of Bowen Street quite a bit, and you know, as we discussed in the past, there was some major work that took place underneath the roadway there for a sanitary interceptor, a sewer and storm sewer. And that is something that was really needed, and I think it's going to be a great addition to that area. And you know, just to build on what you mentioned, Andy, about some of the final touches, the roadway is just one component of it. You talked about some of the aprons, driveway aprons, sidewalks, but then it'll be back to landscaping, as we talked about too, to repair those terraces, to plant grass. In some cases, terrace trees. So we'll be back to some of those issues that we discussed earlier in the program in terms of making sure that some of that new landscaping survives. If citizens can be diligent, you know, that will help a great deal.
Right. We'd like to remind folks that if they'd like to sign up for emailed construction updates, they can find that link in the Hot Topics section of the city's website there, and they can gain a lot of information through those emailed updates. There's also the new construction updates and traffic restrictions webpage, and that also can be linked through the city's website. And that's a little preview of what it looks like there. You can zoom into different projects and click on the road that you're interested in finding out more about and get all of the details about it. And again, that can be linked through the city's website. Okay, also in addition to road construction, there are also several building construction projects that are underway. One of those is the Four Seasons Shelter project that's over at Lakeshore Park. And a lot of folks have been wondering, what is that building over there? And it's an exciting new building for the Parks Department.
Right, we do get a lot of questions. It's like, hey, what is that beautiful building that's being built? You know, people can see it from the roadway. Other people have seen it from the water, and it really is beautiful. I had a chance to tour that with City Manager Roloff and Parks Director Maurer, and I think it's going to be a fantastic venue for our community and for our citizens to utilize. It's an additional park shelter that people can rent, but the difference between this park shelter and some of the other park shelters is that it can be used all year round.
Sure.
And I think it can accommodate almost 100 people, I believe. There's a kitchen area in there. There are bathrooms in there. There's a full glass front and back to that. So it's aesthetically, you know, fantastic. There's also a deck off the front of it that overlooks the Riverwalk and the Fox River by Lake Butamore. So it really is going to be a tremendous addition to our community. I think, there's all kinds of different things that it could be used for.
Right.
I think anniversaries, small wedding receptions, all kinds of different things. So it's really pretty cool.
And we're looking toward late summer for completion on that one.
Right.
As well as the Parks Department Operations and Administration building is continuing its progress as well, and that should be open later this summer.
Right, and that was a long time coming, getting that building updated too. It really housed a lot of parks activities for, gosh, I don't know how many years, and the Parks Department folks have done the best they could, but this is something that is just going to be fantastic for them and really boost their ability to do their jobs much more efficiently and I think safely. And it's located, if people don't know, right next to our field operations facility. Mm-hmm. So it'll tie into that area and some of the fuel stations we have there, and so I think it'll really be a welcome addition.
Right. A lot of work being done over there.
Right.
Okay, then also, John, we wanted to point out over at the Oshkosh Public Library, they're having their summer reading challenge, and the participation has been phenomenal this year with that. So this began on June 1st, and library patrons can register and track their reading online, and so this challenge runs through August 12th, and so exciting project that they're undertaking over at the public library.
Right. The public library has really transformed their operations to not only include traditional library services, but also, provide programming for all ages. And in addition to that, they have a whole variety of things that can be checked out. Mm-hmm. It started more with media, DVDs and audiobooks and things like that, but it's expanded to, other areas that the community can also utilize, like, I think games. Right,
sure. Pickleball, they have a croquet set, cornhole set, bocce ball, all kinds of different things that are available for checkout.
That sounds great.
Yeah, right. So check out the Oshkosh Public Library's website, and you can learn a lot more about what they have available. Okay, then also over at the Oshkosh Senior Center, they're always working to help prevent falling incidents, and folks are able to register for an upcoming opportunity for them to take a free balance screening.
Right. No, I know they're always trying to provide educational programming for our seniors, not only our seniors, but families that might also help care for seniors. Mm-hmm. But this is something that I think if you have someone in your family that has some potential mobility issues, it's a good thing to come and get checked out. And they can provide different suggestions in terms of how to help augment their ability to make sure that they aren't falling, because I know it sounds crazy, but one of the number one things that we respond to from our ambulance service are falls. Mm-hmm. And if you're at an advanced age and a family member falls like that, it can really have a serious impact on their ability to recover from a serious injury like that. So it might seem like a small thing, but if you could take the time to check it out, it can really prevent something that could become serious for a family member.
Right. And through the month of August, anyone over 50 years old can book a free balance screening at the center. Just call them for an appointment at 920-232-5300. And since January, the center has assessed the fall risk of 128 people. So a lot of people are taking positive steps, and the first one is to get an assessment.
No, that's great.
Okay. Also, speaking of emergency preparedness, some information about preparedness will be sent out to residents soon. That's from the Oshkosh Fire Department. And this is just to raise awareness about the importance of preparing for emergencies that can happen at any time. And folks can look for this information in their water bill inserts.
Right.
So just wanted to pass that along as well. John, we're going to take a look at the Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda next, and this is the upcoming meeting on July 11th. That will be at 6 p.m. here at City Hall, and we're just going to take a look at a few items here, and one of those is in the consent agenda. We have the purchase of road salt, and this is actually seems odd to be talking about road salt for the winter in July, but we purchase it now because of some better pricing, I understand.
That's right. No, I think for years the DOT has had an early fill program, so I think we've gotten in the habit of making sure that we're supplied so when we need it at some point in the future, if we need it, we're prepared, and our road crews can respond and make sure that our roadways are safe for the traveling public.
Absolutely. So planning ahead to save some money.
Right.
Okay. Then also under consent, we have approval of some professional services, and this is for sanitary and storm sewer mains and laterals televising. So this is a way that our public works folks can make sure that all of those facilities are working properly.
Absolutely. No, this is just a preventive maintenance activity, and we make sure that people, that we televise some of our storm sewers and laterals to make sure that there's no collapses, that there's no root infiltration, there's no compromised plugs. You see some like inflow and infiltration. So if there's sealing that needs to be done, we can work on that. So it's a preventative maintenance thing to make sure that we don't encounter more serious problems over time.
Right, absolutely. And then a little bit later on the consent agenda, we have approvals for several special events, one of which is actually for a walleye fishing tournament. And Oshkosh is home to a lot of fishing tournaments throughout the year. So, this is just one of those, but some of these are regional, some are national. But it's kind of neat how Oshkosh is actually the home to a lot of these tournaments.
It is. I think, we take, Lake Winnebago, the Fox River, and actually the Lake Winnebago system with Lake Butamore and others a little bit for granted. But it's very well known across the country from anglers that, this is a tremendous area to be involved in fishing. And as you mentioned, we host national tournaments here on a regular basis. So we're grateful for that. But it's something that contributes to the local economy and, exposes Oshkosh to a larger group.
Right, and it's at least 25 tournaments a year, so there's quite a few that are happening. Okay, then also we have an pending ordinance relating to projecting signs. What is a projecting sign?
Well, a projecting sign is a sign that you might see that's hanging over our right-of-way, which we call, as employees of the city, our sidewalks, our terraces, potentially. And they're really a feature that is used primarily in maybe a downtown area. And it facilitates people's awareness for pedestrian traffic. So if you're walking down a sidewalk, it's difficult to see a sign that might be on the front of a building. But if you have a blade sign that hangs over, it facilitates, hey, let's check out that ice cream shop, or let's check out this. That looks like a pretty cool place. So we want to try to assist the businesses in any way we can, and businesses are interested in that kind of a feature. So we're amending some of the text for our ordinances to allow for projecting signs to be used a little more easily. In the past, there's a total amount of square footage that we allow for signs, but we're going to take the blade signs out of that equation, so it doesn't prevent people from augmenting their signage with a blade sign.
Okay, very good. Well, John, I think that's about the amount of time that we have for the show today, but we wanted to thank you for your insights and for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Andy.
All right, very good. And thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you tuning in. And again, that Oshkosh Common Council meeting is coming up on July 11th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. That's here at City Hall, which is 215 Church Avenue. And you can watch it live on GovTV or listen to it on the radio, 101.9 FM. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.